Hi everyone and welcome back. Today we're here with Glencadam and I'm so excited to try these three expressions. It's the 15, the 17 and the 25-year-old, and I actually also tried them last night when I was invited to a little tasting hosted by Claire, who is their brand ambassador. It was a lot of fun, and actually after it my jaws hurt from laughing and smiling so much, which is a really good sign. I think Glencadam is quite an interesting distillery. It's located up in the Highlands here in Scotland, but it's a bit of one of those that's kind of hidden away. It's almost like it's a bit shy. It has some really lovely whiskies and a huge range of a lot of different ones, but it still usually flies under the radar for a lot of people, and it kind of feels like that kind of hidden gem for some. But I'm very excited to try them, so let's start with the 15. So all of these expressions are bottled at 46% ABV, they're non-chill filtered and they're natural colour as well. So the 15's been matured all in ex-bourbon casks and it's about 45% first fill. So let's have a little look on the nose. I always think the 15 has such a lovely nose. This was actually the drama I had on New Year's for the bells going into 2020. The first time I really tried Glencadam 15 was after quite a long shift. It's been quite a stressful week and we were all quite tired, but our managers poured us a bit of a dram at the end of the shift, so that was Glencadam 15 and I was quite amazed by it, so I just love coming back to this. To me it has this kind of fudgy, like icing sugar kind of nose. It also is a bit like when you step into a warm, damp greenhouse. It's just that kind of lovely, fresh, vibrant, like plants. It's like nature, like a bit of a like tropical greenness. But overwhelming is just that kind of sweet, fudgy note. And I know that Claire yesterday told us that she gets a lot of kind of clean pineapple on all the Glencadams, and after her saying that I can't not get it. I think Glencadam overall has that kind of lovely clean, crisp, just a clean and tropical kind of note in their spirit underneath all the cask influence, which I definitely find in this. It's lovely. But let's have a little taste. Slanjava. It's a nice one. It's still quite clean in its flavours. It has a malty influence. It's still quite powerful in its flavour. I would say overall Glencadam's quite a smooth and welcoming whiskey. But if you just take your time and sit down with it and really explore it, you get all these kind of lovely layers. It definitely is one of my favourites. But let's move on to the 17. Of course, also at 46% ABV, natural colour and non-chill filtered. On the tasting, Claire actually went from the 15 to the 25 and then to the 17, but just to keep it a little bit easier, I'm going by age. But the reason she did that is because the 17 has been finished in a port cask. And if you try the 15 and the 25 next to each other, you kind of see that bourbon influence a bit better between the ages. So they're a little bit more similar than something like this that perhaps has a little bit of a different character. It's also quite funny because they say finish on this Glencadam 17. It's been finished for 5 years, so it's a long time in lovely tawny port casks. So 12 years in ex-bourbon, followed by the 5 in the port pipes. And this specific one here is the batch 2. So let's have a little nose. And of course it has this lovely colour as well. To me it's like a bit like raspberries in a forest. It's almost that kind of pine vibe as well. That's why I'm saying raspberries in a forest and not just raspberries. But it has this berry note, which is less sweet than you would say like a strawberry, but it has that kind of more nature sweetness, if that makes sense. It's so nice. It's a bit of kind of orange as well. Tiny bit of kind of nail polish, that kind of clean estery alcohol note. Yeah, but let's have a taste. And I know this is the one that Claire says is her favourite. Slanjava. Oh, this is so easygoing, but so full of flavour. It has a lovely kind of oakiness to it that comes out alongside that red kind of raspberry initial note. It has a bit of that kind of icing sugar sweetness as well. And I think they described it as jammy doughnuts, which I thought was a good mixture between that raspberry sweetness and then the icing sugar, but a little bit of that kind of malty bready note as well. Yeah, really, really nice. It's easygoing, but it's still, like the other one, a lot going on for it. I think Glencadam really benefits from when you try it neat, when you haven't tried a lot of other things before it, because that's when you really get all the flavours out. But I mean, that's with most whiskies. If you have them at the end of the night, you might not remember them so much, but it's lovely. And I find personally that a lot of port finished whiskies tend to be a bit sometimes sharp and sometimes a bit too dry. But I do think the Glencadam 17 is a really good example of something that has benefited from the port influence instead of it making it that sharpness or that scratchy note that is, for me, a little bit unpleasant, which makes me kind of avoid port cask finished whiskies. But yeah, if you want to explore that influence, then this is sure a good one. I would love to see more companies doing like a white port influence in the future, so fingers crossed for that. And if you have seen one already, please let me know in the comments below, because I'm so curious about that. It's all those kind of berry notes. It's lovely. Yeah, it's I think that raspberry note, the kind of smoothness of those berry flavours, along with this kind of oaky nature vibe, makes this a really stunning rum. It's interesting, it almost gives you this kind of finish of like soot or like char. It's like this lovely, it can almost make you feel slightly peated, but of course I know it's not peated, but it's just this kind of sooty, charry loveliness that lingers on the finish. It just has this kind of slightly drying sensation, but without making the dram dry in its flavours. It's very, very fascinating. If you're exploring port casks, I would say this one, and I would also recommend going to the Glenmory port or perhaps the Tomatin 14 as well. Yeah. If you like port cask finished whiskies, please let me know which one is your favourite. I can't, of course, forget to talk about the Talisker Port Ree as well. That's another great port influenced whiskey. But let's move on to the 25. So the 25 has been matured on all bourbon casks. It's slightly more second fill than it is in the 15. The 15 I believe is only first and second fill. There's some refill in this 25 as well, which makes sense. If you keep it for a long time in cask, you don't want a cask that's too active and just taking all of that character away. And like the other ones, non-chill filter, natural colour, and of course 25 years old minimum. But let's have a nose. This just feels so golden to me. It's quite like pineapple-y, quite like apricot-y perhaps. Really gorgeous nose. It also feels very inviting, but quite so elegant in its aromas. It's not really anything that just kind of is sharp or like unbalanced in, like it's very round and it's very inviting. So let's have a taste, Slangela. It's still that kind of lovely golden note on the palate. It does have that kind of malty undertone that I also tend to find more in the 15. Yeah, the 15 on the nose, I would say as a comparison, is more crisp and like youthful and more kind of fresh pineapple, whilst this is more back towards kind of apricot. Yes, some really nice one. I would say if you have the chance to try these next to each other, going back to the 15 after having the other two is really, really interesting, because you just get other layers when your nose and your palate is a little bit more used to the alcohol. I mean, it is about midday when I'm recording this, so I haven't had that many drams before this, I must admit, even though it is Friday. still has this lovely spice. Very, very soft spice, but it's quite powerful. Like, it doesn't prickle your tongue, but it's still definitely there. It has some kind of tannins and oakiness, along with that malty note that I find both in the 15 and the 25, but less so on the 17 actually. It's, yeah, lovely. Maybe a bit of kind of orange notes. Yeah, it's like kind of soft orange notes. So it's not very punchy and not very all over the place, but it's just that kind of soft. Like if you have apricot, but at the edges of it, there's a little bit of orange. Really nice. It also has this kind of, it sounds weird, but it's like that kind of nail polish vibe, which either makes it feel like nail polish to you or can make you feel a bit fruitier. I think this is a very mouth-watering dram, so I'd probably go towards like the fruitier side of nail polish because it does have so many lovely flavours that you just want to explore. I also think it's so nice because the way Claire described this yesterday was that it's like a hug in a glass, and it really is this kind of warming golden, this lovely feeling of it, which yeah, I mean, a hug in a glass is a great way to describe it. I would also say that Glencadam, I think, is one of those distilleries that I would keep an eye on, because I think there's a lot of things happening quite soon, and a lot of interesting expressions might be coming, and maybe perhaps a revamp as well, so keep your eyes on them. It's also quite funny, because yesterday she asked if we had a favourite, and my clear answer was the 15. It's the one I have an experience with, I have lovely memories of it, it's, and of course it's a delicious whiskey. But the more I try the 17, the more and more I like it. I mean, the 25 is gorgeous as well, but because I can't really afford it that much, and because I'm so intrigued by these absolutely gorgeous flavours in the 15 and the 17, they're just, yeah, they're lovely. And like I said, it's interesting when you find a port finished whiskey finished for 5 years, but that just gives you all these lovely flavours that you can just explore and explore and explore. I'm gonna say the 15 is my favourite today, but the 17 is like just right there, right behind it. And I mean the 25 is just like a golden hug. So you can't really go wrong with any of these. I would of course love to hear if you have tried any Glencadams. Have you tried the 15, the 17, the 25, or have you perhaps tried the Origin, the 10, the 13, the 19, the 21? Or any of the other expressions that are out there, please let me know in the comments below. As always, a massive thank you to the guys supporting me on Patreon. It really does help a lot, and I'm so grateful for you. Of course, don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss what is up and coming, and as always, have a lovely day. Slanjava, skål! Thank you.